Hello, everyone. It's me, Tim, Taiwan Tim, here back with another episode. Um, happy to, I'm trying to test this a little bit, and I also want to share it. Where can I share it? Oh, let's see. Can't hear myself. Share it. There we go. I can now hear myself. Oh, let's see. I want to can't share myself. Maybe just this. Share. There we go. Share. There we go. Very easy. Myself. Oh, let's see. I want to can't share. Myself. Maybe just this. All right. Now we're getting finding some stuff. So I recorded. Oh, I got a message. I want to can't share. I recorded a not a message. Now we're getting finding some stuff. So I recorded. Oh, I got a message. I recorded a not a message. Now we're getting finding some stuff. So I recorded. Oh, I got a little bit of feedback. Got a message. Why do I have multiple audios? This is really weird. I hear myself like 6 times. This is so weird. Why do I have multiple audios? If I mute it, it'll be fine. All right. I can no longer hear myself, so that's nice. Welcome everyone back to another stream. Hopefully this can be figured out in a second here. We've got my friends that I want to share with and my other socials. I bet you I can't get into my social here on this computer. Is it gonna work? Nope. I don't remember my password, so never mind about that. I guess this is good enough. Yeah, this will do. So we've got that all figured out. I was using another screen and it was really making my laptop heat up, even though I've got a fan on it and everything. So that's a little disappointing. I don't think I'll be able to use multiple screens right now. Just too bad. But I can show you my Boris the Battle Mage story. So what I was saying earlier, I made a recording on Saturday now. I made a recording on Saturday, and it had just horrible audio, so I didn't get to upload it. I couldn't stream from where I was. I didn't have internet access, but I recorded it, and then later, as I listened to it, I realized it just wouldn't work for the quality of stream that I want to have. So I'm doing it again. So this is really kind of odd and awkward because I've already read through the story. I guess I already worked through some things and added some things and stuff. So let's just jump right in here. I will scroll down to where we left off originally, and I had intentionally left it underlined in the pre-recorded video that I made because I wasn't sure if that was going to work out or not. So here we are back where we were in episode 2, where Boris finally reaches the place of the meeting that he's going to be in. He's going to be checking out who summoned him and what they want. So let's get into that. I'll try and read this. I want to kind of finish this. I know it seems like there's a lot here, right? There's a lot going on with, there's there are a lot more words to read, but I kind of wanted to get to the end today because I have a lot of other things I want to get into, especially want to share something special that I recently found, a website where I can keep all my things organized and everything. It's really cool. And I really need to get some character descriptions written out, and that's what I was doing on that website. But I can't do that and leave you guys in the middle of the story at the same time. So um, for draft one, I just kind of want to uh, keep going until it's done, and then I guess we'll just see how long it takes. So let's get into it. So I'm reading about Boris here. He reached the steps, saw the errand boy, and then is going to he's checking out his boots right now again. So we'll just I'll just leave the underline here because maybe this video won't work out. Maybe it's just too awkward to do it again, but I'm gonna do my best. All right. Finally, the doorman arrived, rushing forward in his puke green tunic towards the battle mage on the porch. He unlocked the front door of the chapel and ushered in the arcanist, quickly closing the door behind him. Boris noting the click-clack of the lock being immediately played back into place before so much as a bit of wind could enter. So as I talked about in my pre-recorded video that it just is non-existent, I wanted to kind of, in this paragraph and in other paragraphs, I want to capture this idea that the church in this world is kind of closed off from the common people. It is a place where they go to worship, those that are allowed, but at this point in the story, there's kind of a limitation that's been in place for who can enter the premises, the headquarters. A lot is going on with the clergy right now. Some special projects that they're working on that they don't want the average Joe to see. Some of it illegal, so we'll see that in other chapters. So here, the door is opened and closed immediately as soon as Boris gets in order to keep that, to build on that idea that there's kind of a limitation going on. "We have been expecting you some time, your lordship," the doorman sputtered as he led Boris through the stone hall of a smoky chapel entryway. "The guards are all up in a tizzy over last night's happenings, and there isn't much sense to be had by rumors and gossipers." The doorman blathered on, hurriedly disappearing into a puff of smoke down the hall. Boris looked on after him as he swatted away the smoke clouds in an attempt to clear his vision. But more white smoke just billowed up around his wagging elbows as he trudged forward, not knowing in the slightest if he was headed towards the meeting place or straight into a stack of pews. So, not sure. I mean, I don't really need a name for this doorman. He's just some guy that meets people and ushers them to the audience of the clergy. It's not something that I have to worry too much about. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate your sentiments. It's very encouraging to see someone, if anyone, to view it. I would suggest going back to episode 1 and 2 if you want to see the whole story about Boris. There's some good parts that I'm very proud of. Right now, we're kind of in the beginning the second part of a 3-part chapter, where Boris, the battle mage, is meeting with those who summoned him. And right now he's swatting away smoke. For some reason, this church is full of smoke, it would be kind of alarming for most people because it might mean a fire. But this isn't hot burning smoke. This is like, as you'll see what kind it is. Eventually, the source of smoke became apparent to Boris as he entered a large torchlit chamber full of burly, grim men, all puffing heartily on their pipes as they played cards or lay back with their feet elevated on tables. Not the sort of people one expected to see in a holy house, but all gathered and grunting there nonetheless. This way, your magicness," the socially inept doorman blurted at his shoulder, turning Boris from the brooding scene back down a curving vestibule towards what must be the clerical quarters. I might change this a little bit. So this is draft 3 and I'm gonna do draft 4 here on the stream later on. Maybe we'll come back to this because I have so many other projects that I want to work on. so many great stories in my mind, and I'm really excited about moving forward with all of them because of this website I found, this really great place to put all my ideas and store all my manuscripts and everything. So right now we're using Smart Edit, the program, just to sort of edit draft 3. But later on, I'm going to work from the website, and there I can jump back and forth between character descriptions or some articles that I've written about characters or places or what have you. So I'm really excited about that, and I'll just keep on Smart Edit for now. All right. So the doorman summons him into the place. So the hierarchy is here waiting patiently for your arrival. The doorman finished as he bowed low, his arms extended in a ridiculous fashion towards a large wooden door at the end of the hall. With nothing but a slight glance towards the bowing man, Boris pushed his way out of the smoke, through the portal, and into a brightly sunlit vaulted room of gorgeous woodwork and masonry. This was the room he had expected to see back when he was first given the summons to graciously appear to the clergy for aid, and the battle mage's expectations were not unmet. Tall, stained glass windows let in long shafts of light which poured over rows and rows of seating, all facing towards the climax of pillars and stage with pulpit, pedestals, and altars. Nothing less than a glorious worship hall to usher in the praises of the people to whatever great gods they wish to serve. Here I want to emphasize that this world that I'm creating has multiple continents and multiple people groups and multiple religions, and this is just one of many. And Boris is unfamiliar with their god and that they serve. He is familiar with the world gods that everyone kind of recognizes, or at least, you know, it's kind of like a showy observation of like of an overall arcing idea that these gods existed at one point or still exist, but it's just kind of for show. And so later you'll see some of that in this chapter. But right now he's in a church that he was expecting to see something grandiose, and here it is. Beside the seating, less than a quarter of the way towards the stage, there stood a group of 3 grandly robed clergymen with arms in sleeves, speaking hushedly together. Upon Boris's arrival, the holy man quieted completely and turned towards the battle mage as he walked proudly up to them in an attempt to look as grand and powerful as befit the reputation of all magical warriors. I hear you're in need of my services. Boris began as he realized he had no idea what the proper polite terms were for a city-state, emergency clergy, government official would be. This kind of explains and shows the reader right off the bat what is going on in this town, on this continent. There was a kingdom and a king and a ruler and army and everything, but they're all preoccupied with something. So the church has kind of stepped in as a emergency government role, so to sort of raise their class and also to get control over the people, as many religions are wont to do. All right, thankfully the three men, whitebeards and all, seemed more than relieved to see the mage had arrived at all, and they had no care for real proper pleasantries for the time being. "We're so happy that you finally arrived," burst the middle clergyman. "We were beginning to think you were waylaid or even unaware of our summons request." The clergyman was loud as a trumpet in the great hall, though he stood less than 5 footsteps away from the warrior's puckered face. "Well, he's here now, and no more worry needs to bother us, as I'm sure he's more than capable of handling the enemy. Just look at him. If this man doesn't depict battle and magic prowess, then I don't know what does," the leftmost clergy offered up in a more distance-aware volume. So this clergyman is, there's 3 of them. They're kind of bumbling idiots, I would say. They're not the upper echelons of the church staff or anything, or of the hierarchy of the church. So they're just there to meet with the battle mage and lead him to their quest they have for him. So they're kind of like, kind of like what's that show called? They're kind of the 3 stooges of this church. So I would just want to show something kind of silly here where he's like shouting in his face just to depict like to try and carry on that they're on this idea that they're a great, powerful emergency government official or something. So the one of them is smarter than the other, as you see. I'm here to help as best I can, Boris replied, giving a firm nod of the three to the three clergymen. Now please tell me everything you can about your predicament. Most certainly. Please follow us to the armory and we will show you what weaponry we can offer to help, the middle priest began to say as he moved down the aisle, before Boris cut him off with a grasp of the cleric's passing shoulder. So here I stopped in the last recording, but I'm going to continue on. So we'll just underline that. Underline. Your lowly weapons will not aid me more than what equipment I already carry, priests. I wield magics beyond your understanding, and my steel can cut any foe apart, Boris continued. Just lead me there, and I will face it easily, he said with a gleam in his eye and a balled fist on the hilt of his sword. So earlier in the chapter, I write that he's got a cutlass, kind of a short curved sword of his own, even though he wields magic as well. He's a battle mage. He's got magic and battle prowess. All right. Of course, we would love to study your magics more, but I am afraid there is no time for that. Please follow us to our carriage. Then the shortest priest spoke after his previous silence, and the group took off back the way Boris had entered. What a mighty bunch they looked in their fine robes and smocks, billowing through smoke around them, with Boris in his battle mage accoutrements, bulging breastplate clanking against his chainmail. So I just kind of pictured this moment like you would see people walking away from an explosion in an action film. They're just kind of exiting the church, and there's all that smoke that was in there is pouring out around them. So it looks so cool to them. It looks cool to the people there too, the people in the town. So I imagine this church is up on kind of like a hill in the town, it's tallest of all the buildings in the area. And everyone can kind of see what's going on up there. And so they're walking out here just to get into their carriage. They've got their hands in their sleeves, very holy looking, with their billowing white cloaks and robes. Not cloaks, but robes. Boris doesn't have a cloak. He has, I guess it would make sense that he does. I just don't like cloaks very much. That's my personal take. I just don't see, like, they're really useful and great, and maybe I'll add some for other characters, but not for Boris. He's not that important. I guess he is important in the world in which he lives, but he's not important to me. So, as you'll see. As the group was led outside by the previous porter, a large covered vehicle on two wheels rolled up to the stone steps, with its door popping open at the command of the driver, who was off with them quicker than he had arrived. Once they had all climbed up inside, the four men stuffed tightly into such a small space with barely enough room for Boris to open and close his lungs. Again, they're proud and arrogant and haughty, but they smash themselves into this tiny carriage just so they don't have to walk to where they're going. I was thinking, this would be a great point for them to ride their carriage just like across the street or something, which maybe I'll add later. I'm going to add that here. That would be kind of silly. Like, they're all like official, so they get into their carriage and then they go just across the street and get out of the carriage. And Boris will be like kind of bemused about it. So I'm going to add this. I've got my little keyboard down here where hopefully you can't hear it. Maybe add a news section to this part where the carriage only crosses the road to another building where the clergy headquarters actually lies in secret, where Boris is introduced to a higher ranking member of the clergy, and given his actual quest information. So that could be an option where they go. I'm going to add this in underline so I can find it easily. No, you know what? I'm going to make it bold too, like everything else. I think this is bold, right? No, that's not bold. It's just a totally different. It's a totally different font. Oh well. Well, that'll be easy to find as I scroll through it. Let's see. Oh, about 7 minutes going. Oh, no, this is a 20 minutes so far. Sorry to go so long on this, but I just kind of want to I kind of want to finish the story, so I'm going to keep reading a bit. This city is one of the final bastions of community to which we were able to extend sanctuary due to the, oh, gotta change that. Important to change this word. As you'll see later when I show you the website, we're gonna change this word. I don't want to use the same word as I call things. So I was having a hard time coming up with names for places and cities and stuff. And sanctuary is a really important name for this story. So I'm gonna remove this word or replace it with something else. So it's not like, I don't know, maybe I'll just do a little word play because everyone will know the name of this place that they're in. So maybe they're like, but the word sanctuary exists, right? So as it's just like a protective place or a protection. So maybe we'll keep it, maybe not. That's just something I want to recognize as I go through here. This city is one of the final bastions of community to which we were able to extend sanctuary due to the centrality of its location in relation to the borders. The shorter priest began to speak as he rode past wooden hovel after wooden hovel. The border wall has done little in keeping flocks and herds from falling prey to the enemy, but in recent weeks we have been able to erect a large enough gate to keep the main highway from being used against us. The carriage rolled on past the final edges of the town, down a large dirt path, and up a hill towards the border walls and gate. We can do nothing more than hide behind these walls and pray, so we hope that you will be able to vanquish the enemy as soon as possible. The priest finished as the carriage came to a swift halt in front of two enormous wooden doors hinged on the other side of the barricade, coming together with less than a finger's breadth of space down the middle. All right, yeah. So many things I would like to change here. Probably draft 4, they do go to another building, and this is kind of explained in more detail what they want to happen, because it's kind of brief. I didn't want to make this chapter too long, and that's why I just included it in their carriage ride down. Maybe I'll just briefly mention that they ride to the gates in draft 4, and all this expedition can be done between Boris and the upper ranks of the clergy. In draft 4 that I can write that up. Lots to think about. Boris got out first and walked up to the crowd of villagers, all grouped up, chatting together quietly, some pointing at the newly arrived vehicle out of which the robed clergymen clambered unceremoniously with their garments twisting around their ankles. Once the three were out and standing beside Boris again, he lifted his head up to smell the air and opened his mouth to speak towards the gathered people. This simple city pales in comparison to the home I have left to the far to the east, and yet I will do my best to save this place from demise, as it were my own home. For what better way do I utilize the powers I have been provided by the mighty? Boris shouted out towards the gathered priests and villagers. Very well said, the tallest priest admitted as they walked up from behind Boris. The two other priests headed to the gatehouse. Let us be done with this enemy, and your reward shall be great. I will pledge the best of my stock to you, sire, a lowly farmer, hat wrinkled up in his hand, piously spoke up. If you help us here. A second man with no hat, but wielding a large walking stick, spoke up next. Aye, and I will give you 20 silver coins if you can get rid of the monsters that fouled my farmlands. As if waiting for his betters to finish, a final, more lowly-looking farmer spoke up as well. If you can avenge my murdered children, I will give you the best mead in my tavern free of charge to you and any of your friends. Yes, that's all well and good, Hark, the tallest priest broke the last farmer off. But the rewards I was referring to are titles and maidens or money from coffers to buy them. The priest finished resolutely, his hands wrapped together proudly, knowing that the church would support his claims if the enemy could be done away with. I will take all your rewards into consideration, friends, but I must continue on with my duty now. Please direct me to the nearest altar of Ajur, where I may pray before battle. So I like this name, Ajur. Taiwan Tim here, not reading the actual story. I like this name Ajur. It's probably going to be a major god that is one of many gods that they serve in this, or not, that they show that as tradition that they serve. But it's not someone that is really, I mean, in my mind, the god Ajur doesn't even exist. But in their minds, this is what they do to show their devotion. At least the battle mage from his continent and the other continents, everyone knows who Ajur is, and no one is like. Actually, let's read further. There's some explanation. Here, behind the gatehouse, the short priest said as he guided the mage away from the dirty farmers and towards the back of the tall wooden hut raised beside the gates. There, amidst wreaths of flowers and colorful rocks, a small stone dome with a second larger half dome sat on the ground, a testament to the time of worship for Ajur unending, one shrine of many that dotted the lands around Glib with their chapel and devotees administering messages and directives from the gods to their peoples, which is basically their own directives, because Ajur, the unending, has ended or doesn't exist to begin with. So the schemes and plots of the clergy will become more apparent later. Now, I have nothing against religion, but in my world, I want to create it as sort of an antagonist to my characters. Just the whole thing is going to be great. Boris knelt before the shrine and bowed his head in solemnity and silent prayer for peace of mind. He mumbled the rites and made the motions with his hands as he had done 1,000 times, but he did not mean them. The gods were no more alive now than the men who first began to recognize them centuries before. I might change this to who came up with them, because I don't think they need to be recognized as much as they need to be. Because I'm trying to say Ajur didn't exist, right? But maybe Boris isn't privy to that. He just thinks that they aren't alive now or don't matter. So we won't change that. He's just going to think that they were first recognized but no longer exist. I'm ready to face the beast, Boris said as he rose from the shrine, his hand clenched once again upon the hilt of his sword, his eyes glowing faintly with blue light as he prepared the magics within his soul and mind to do his bidding. Where are they? The priest led Boris to stand before the center of the massive wooden gates that filled the Glib Way, untrodden for more than a year, but now filled with the presence of Boris, the Belgranthian battle mage. Just kind of a little title there, the Belgranthian battle mage. So Belgranth is an okay name. It can turn into an adjective like that. I like that, a title. Lights protect you, my brave man, the shortest priest said at his side. I shall return with the corpses of those who dare stand against this city, Boris said, confidence and ego swelling together in his chest as he readied himself once again for the battle of wit and steel. So in draft 4, I'm going to have some more exposition between the clergy hierarchy and Boris, and I kind of want him to go in blind to this. Like, he's going into this quite blind, and he doesn't really know what the enemy is. They haven't, maybe the clergy don't even know what it is, just that the enemy attacks people and flocks, and they're really getting sick of dying. So they've summoned this guy, and it's taken like months for him to get here. So they had to erect this wall to keep the enemy at bay. But Boris doesn't know what he's facing, but he'll soon find out. We're nearing the end. It's getting good. I shall return with the corpses of those who dare stand against this city, Boris said, confidence and ego swelling together in his chest as he readied himself once again for a battle of wit and steel. The tallest priest inside the gatehouse motioned for two of the villagers to lift the weights, and with a grind, the two thick bars of metal which held the gate closed shifted out of their sockets and pulled back a span. Once the way was clear, Boris unsheathed his sword and gripped it firmly in his gloved right hand. His left preparing in a position for spells, Boris shouldered his way through the gates and into the darkness on the other side. Now, this would be a great place to end, kind of on a cliffhanger, if I wanted to today. He's about to face the enemy. An enemy exists. There's problems. He's going to face it. He's going to deal with it. He's proud. He's ready. He's all prepared. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to share the end with you guys. You people. And I don't mean you people. I just mean the people that are watching this, if ever. The ending is, I'm really proud of it. And it's not that clever, it's not that cool, it's just, I wrote it in one day, this whole chapter, and I've edited it a lot since then, but when I wrote it, I was like, yes, this is perfect for my world. It sets the tone for my writing. Should I share it today? No one's watching right now, I don't think. We're already past the 30-minute mark, so do I want to share the ending now, or should I continue another day? I have so many other projects to work on. I'm just going to finish it today. And we'll kind of rush towards the end here in episode 3. I hope all of this works out, and I don't have to re-record episode 3. Here we go. As soon as he passed into the forest, the gates shuttered closed firmly behind him and the steel rod slid back into place, shutting Boris in with the enemies. All right, beasts, face me now, Boris growled as he strode along upon the thick-soled boots several steps beneath the first few giant trees of the Garland Wood. I don't like this name at all. Garland. Like, garland is something that you wear around your neck, I think. A garland of flowers. So it could work on that level. But this forest is very important for my whole story. And the word garland, I don't know if it's good enough. Maybe there'll be nicknames for post-crisis and pre-crisis Garland Woods. Pre-world crisis, calamity, catastrophe. The thing that I really want to show you, the website that I was working on, all of my articles about this world. So we'll just keep Garland Woods here for now and continue on with the story. Show yourselves to me and face your demise, Boris began to shout into the darkness of the deep forest in front of him. The glib way, another name I'm not too sure about. The glib way disappearing into the distance between the rows of trees. The darkness was like a cloud of smoke over the place, folding through the branches over itself and hanging amidst the foliage like a heavy fog, blocking out the sunlight of the midday that had been shining bright upon his brow only moments before the gates opened. Nothing had entered the forest for months, save the carcasses of the farmers and their livestock last night and many nights before. And here we get to the enemy. Welcome, welcome, a deep voice boomed from the darkness. Welcome to demise. The voice boomed louder out of the woods towards Boris, who stood tall and his feet planted firmly in a battle stance, sword at the ready in his right hand and his fingers on his left hand held up before his chest. Show yourself, scum, Boris shouted back, his left fingers clenched tight in formation, ring thumb to finger, pinky flat to his palm, index. I can try and do it for you. Index and middle finger extended to form a channel, glinting blue light coalescing at his fingertips, which began to spark with energy. Step forth and receive your reckoning. There stood Boris the battle mage, stomach clenched with concentration, behind the barrel of plate and thick robes of his order, his tunic beginning to vibrate to the magic as the magic inside him rose with each passing second. Reckoning! The voice shook the tree roots beneath the ground as an enormously tall, muscular being suddenly appeared in the middle of the glib way, not 2 yards from the front of Boris. He raised his left hand and a blast of energy shot forth directly into the head of the burly beast, then onwards through it and out into the tops of the trees. The fog sucked into a swirling, turbulent projectile of power. Bwahaha! The priest shouted as it leapt into the air off of its thick black legs, rose high into the sky, and came crashing down before Boris. Its massive, undulating fists of incorporeal flesh, the size of 2 cows, came crashing down hard, squashing Boris flat as a pie into the ground of the road, bits of flesh and sinew, unable to hold together beneath the weight of the monster's limbs, blasting off in all directions as his blood and bones became one with the dirt of the road. Reckon this, mortal! The demonstrative beast spat at the puddle of Boris' garments and remains before bellowing out a violent, heated roar from its maw into the air, which shook the wooden gates, melting the metal rods into their locking sockets. And it was there that Boris, the battle mage of Belgrant, was relieved of his duty. And there's the end. Oh, and a solid 3,300 words. 3,300 words. So that's the end of Boris the Battle Mage and Boris the Battle Mage the story. I like this last part a lot. I don't think I'll change much in draft 4 of it. I may have edited this from draft 1 and 2 already a little bit because what is the past tense of leap? It's leapt. How do you spell leapt? L-E-P-T? Yes. No. What? Is leapt not a word? I don't know. Maybe it's not in this editor. I'll have to look that up later. There's a lot of. So I've written some of these words with a little bit of a guttural H sound. Welcome has an H. Reckoning has an H with a K, and the laughter is a lot of H's. I just want to emphasize that this is a giant, enormous being with a otherworldly voice. And it's angry, and it destroys Boris. Boris, the proud battle mage, is just dead. And that's the end of the chapter. That's the end of this story of Boris. It kind of is silly. I think it's a little silly because Boris is so proud, and I want to make him think he can face anything with the magic, but I want the reader to realize that no amount of magic that anyone possesses in this world is ready to deal with the enemy, the catastrophe, the calamity that has taken over the globe, or is threatening to take over the globe. The main characters in my story deal with this enemy in a myriad of ways. Some of them not so creative, but some of them just kind of epic and cool, I think. This really plays a big part in the story. These otherworldly creatures. They're not aliens. They're not from space. They're from, I guess you would say, another dimension. But it doesn't get, I don't talk about dimensions too much. I don't talk about other worlds or anything. It's all assumed that they're from this world by the inhabitants of this world. But I really like that. The more that I think of it, the more I like the name of the world that I've given it, Sanctuary, because that is the exact opposite of what happens in the story. Sanctuary is not found by those living in the world called Sanctuary. So it'll be a little ironic, I think. Well, thank you for joining me today and finishing out the story of Boris the Belgrantian Battle Mage. I really feel pretty good about this story. I'm going to edit it later, but for now, finish up this live stream with that and come back next time with one of my other projects. Actually, probably I will do character descriptions on the website. Try and get those out so I can get some art commissioned for them so I can have some more inspiration as I work on each of their chapters. There's a multitude of characters that I'm working on, and it's all very interesting to me, hopefully interesting to my readers, and hopefully also interesting to you guys, you people. I'm gonna just start calling you, all my viewers, you people, even though that's kind of like not politically correct for some situations. For this situation, me calling you people is fine, right? You are all people. Hopefully, there's no dogs watching my stream or uh, otherworldly beasts. Hopefully not. But if there are, you should type in the comments, "Hey, I'm an otherworldly beast. You should include me in your greetings and farewells." So let me know in the comment section if you're human or if you're something else. I'd love to know. I'd love to know who I'm dealing with in this live stream. This has been fun for me again and I'm looking forward to future streams. Today's Monday, so I probably will do a stream tomorrow, just trying to get some of that website onto my YouTube channel just to see what all is going on there and get into that. Anyways,